Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and true and all ages, you're now tuned into the Investor Show. As always, this is your gracious host, the Prince of Investing, Prince Dykes, coming to you guys and girls live all the way from the beautiful city and state of Denver, Colorado. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, comment, and share button. And as always, I don't have a lot of time, and I definitely know you guys and girls don't have a lot of time, so we're going to jump straight into it. As you guys and girls can see, we got a very, very special guest on. My first time ever having a sitting treasurer onto the show, so congratulations to that. So we have treasurer, the city of Chicago treasurer, coming all the way from Chicago. She's going to be here live today. I want to learn some things about what does the treasurer do, what they're doing out there in Chicago, how her as a Black woman get in this position as well, how she likes it, what's her plans, what they're doing in the office. But ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and make sure
hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, hit that like, comment, and share button.
Without further ado, let me bring in my guest here, Miss Melissa Conyears. She is the, as I said it earlier, she's the Chicago City Treasurer. Miss Conyears, how you doing today, ma'am?
Hello, Prince. I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Definitely glad to have you on. For people out there who may not be familiar with you, I know you've been on, all over the place, all over the media, stuff like that. But people who first time meeting you, can you tell people a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I am a Chicagoan born and raised. And so I am so humbled to be the Chicago City Treasurer. And for too long, really, I have seen too many families and individuals struggle against the roadblocks and barriers to building wealth, such as discrimination, racism, and really a lack of formal education. I think about the pandemic and how the challenges that we have faced really made things worse. I think about the economic hardship for too many. I've also experienced just really the difference between the financial knowledge and skills that can make in a person's life and their ability to build a better life for themselves and their families. And so as the treasurer, I pull in that background because I'm raised by a single mother of 3 girls. I was born on the south side of Chicago, raised on the west side of Chicago, first in my family to go to college. I was a Black woman working for a Fortune 500 company when I graduated. I went on to obtain my MBA in finance, and really as a corporate executive, loved what I did, but really wasn't being fulfilled. And I had an opportunity to take my corporate experience with my humble beginnings and my love for public service. And I ran and won city treasurer in 2019. So I have been city treasurer of Chicago for the past 4 years. And to sum it up, I'm really the personal banker for Chicago residents. We have a portfolio and well over, by the way, $9 billion that this young lady, Chicago and born and raised by that single mother, is able to go out and talk to the young people and tell them about my humble beginnings, which is very similar to theirs, and look at where I am today. And it's really important for me being elected by the people. And by the way, when you mentioned, Prince, that this is your first time talking to a treasurer of a municipality, most municipalities in this country have appointed treasurers. That means that they are not elected by the people, but they are appointed by the lead administration of the city, and many times the mayor. And that person, very similar to me in that they may be the custodian, and that they hold and invest taxpayer dollars. The difference in me being elected is that I invest with the mindset of the taxpayers. And also I leverage those relationships that I have with financial institutions, with investment firms. And I leverage those relationships to work on programs to financially empower residents of Chicago. That's something you're just not going to see unless you have most likely an elected treasurer. And that's the advantage that Chicagoans have, that they have someone that is not only investing in with their mindset, with their values, but also someone that is looking to financially empower them. So we'll talk today, Prince, about the programs that we do within my office, because I always tell my staff, sure, we can invest, and we do that well. I have an education in that. I'm a
Mhm.
corporate, I come from the corporate background. But if we're not changing lives, what are we really doing here?
Mm. You know, something that I learned when I met you last year, Partners Group, was how the treasurer, you can correct me if I'm wrong with this, but how you are in charge of like the school teacher pension funds, all the city workers, you're in charge of all their funds where their money is being invested. Am I correct on that?
So I'm glad you brought that up because I spoke about really my role within the treasurer's office,
Mhm.
how I am the custodian, as I call it, the personal banker for taxpayers. I invest their money to make more money for them. But in addition to that, and thank you for bringing that up, I am also a trustee on all of the city's pension funds.
Mm.
Now, and let me speak on that, because for the teachers pension fund, for Chicago teachers pension fund, I am their treasurer. For the other pension funds, for police, for fire, for laborers, such as our streets and sanitation workers, for example, as well as for our municipal workers, which is all others. So for all of Chicago's pension funds, I serve as trustee. That
Mm.
means I am a decision maker in what happens with those pension funds, how we invest money, how we work on behalf of the members of those funds as well as their annuitants. So very important role. And by the way, I mentioned $9 billion over that we're managing in the Chicago Treasurer's Office. If you look at all four of Chicago's pension funds, that's another additional about $8 billion.
Mm.
And so we're talking about some real money here, real impact. And I believe in investing for social impact. And so, very good perspective. And it very much keeps me busy.
Easy. Oh yeah, I
It's
bet. I
like
bet.
two full-time jobs, if not more.
Okay. Now, now I want to ask you the first question is how's the treasurer office helping small business owners in divested communities not only start businesses but sustain them?
Yes, that's very important
Mhm.
because for me, as I mentioned to you, really having the values of our residents and really wanting to make an impact. I focus on residents and I focus on small business owners, financially empowering them,
Mm.
helping them. And so we really, when we talk about small business owners and the programs that we have here within the treasurer's office, there's a couple of things since I've taken office the last 4 years that I've really focused on. One was during the pandemic. The pandemic started like very shortly after I took office. And so I had to really just jump right in. And that's what we as women do, by the way. No offense,
Mhm.
Prince, right? We just know how to just jump in
Jump
and
right
do what
in.
we need to do.
Mhm.
Very, very much kudos to the women, by the way. Always have to give credit where credit is due.
Oh,
But at the onset of the pandemic, I partnered with the mayor's office and we provided some small business loans for small business owners here in Chicago. And really, we it was more than $20 million that actually we
mm,
invested in the small businesses of Chicago.
mm,
And what we wanted to do, and I know how important it is to help small business owners, but I also know that small business owners, being the backbones of our community, they really hire people from our community, which is key. And that's why small businesses are so important. I mean, I cannot stress enough the importance of small businesses. Many of times the owners live in our community, but in addition to that, they employ from our community, and that's extremely important. So we provided those small business loans so those companies can stay in business and jobs can be retained. But even now, what I'm so proud about, I have a partnership right now through the Treasurer's Office that we're doing with Goldman Sachs. It's entitled 10,000 Small Businesses. 10,000.
Mm.
And I mean, I am getting the word out, doing what we have to do about this 15-week business education program. By the way, Prince, available at no cost.
Wait, hold on, wait,
No
wait, wait.
cost.
So you partner with, you said, was it JP Morgan?
Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs. So you partner with Goldman Sachs to do a 15-week entrepreneurship course
Yes, sir.
with small businesses in Chicago.
In Chicago. And
Okay.
the focus, because at the end of the day, the entrepreneurs want to know, what am I going to get out of this?
Mm-hmm.
We know that most entrepreneurs, the chief barrier is capital.
Yeah.
We know that, right? People have great ideas,
Yeah.
but if you're not born like myself into a family of means and have a parent that can fund this great idea, it can be very challenging. And so we look at that barrier to access to capital. And so this 15-week program will help with that, as far as help entrepreneurs know how to obtain the capital, know what resources are out there for access to it. But we also want to teach entrepreneurs practical skills, really across a broad range of topics. And so the program is open now, right now, until June 6th. And that's for the program that will start in September. And so small business owners, entrepreneurs have until June 6th to apply for the program that begins in September. And so I am getting the word out, because this program has a remarkable track record of helping small businesses gain access to the tools and resources needed to really sustain. Because we can help entrepreneurs develop this business and open their business, but we also want them to sustain their business.
Okay. Now,
Again, no charge, no charge, no charge.
now, Melissa, let me ask you this question. People that listen to this saying, wow, I didn't know this. Is this physical? Is it online? And most importantly, how do they sign up?
Absolutely. So please, thank you.
Mhm.
Prince, you are great at this, by the way. They can go to my website at chicagocitytreasurer.com.
Mhm.
And then also, I'm on all social media handles: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Most of the time, the handles begin with just Chicago Treasurer Melissa Conyears-Ervin. And they can see there's links all over, including, again, our website, on how to apply by June 6th.
By June 6th. Okay. Well, nobody has an excuse to make out there. And one of the important reasons that when I met you, something that I know that I'm not the only one, and I want to share to my audience, is that people are like, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, what can my treasurer do for me? Because people think of a treasurer, someone who handles money, but as an entrepreneur, what resources can I get from my treasurer? Why do I need to know my treasurer? And what can they do for me? What can that office do for me? And, you just hit on a major one. Look at these classes that you're offering that's going to teach you how to access capital. Because so many of us, we try what we heard, what we think,
Yes.
think we may know, but here's a program right here that's giving you the tools, which is most important, better than anything. You putting forth the effort and you're getting the knowledge to learn how to fish, not to be given the fish.
That's right.
I definitely love that. I got to give you kudos for that. But the next thing I wanted to get to was, what are some of the ways the Treasurer Office is investing in once invest communities to spur ownership?
Oh, let's talk about home ownership. That is, oh
Okay.
my gosh, Prince. So for me, as a Black woman,
Mhm.
as what I've seen, really living in underserved communities, I tell people pretty much all of my life in Chicago, I know the importance of building generational wealth. And a lot of times, families in underserved communities feel as if we speak of the terminology of generational wealth, we are not speaking to them.
Mhm.
When in fact, that can include everyone. And I always tell people that one of the quickest ways and one of the easiest ways to build generational wealth is through home ownership. That is extremely important, because really the home is an asset. And let's say a family member, a mother, a father pass away, that asset now transfers on to their children. And that asset can again transfer on further. And assets help you that you think about small business owners that sometimes can use their asset of their home to collateralize that loan that they are trying
Hmm.
to capture. There are so many instances that I can think of how home ownership can help in so many ways. And by the way, I'll give you this statistic. In Chicago, the home ownership rates for Black families is 35% versus 43% for Hispanics and 54% for white families.
Mm.
Now, that large gap in home ownership rates and home values can really, again, be attributed to how I opened this segment with inequality, discrimination. But we have to do something about that, right? For too long, we've seen this. And that's why I focus on financial empowerment, because when we look at the wealth gap, we know that there are ways that we can help in residents. We can help them, number one, with resources that we have, but there are so many programs like we spoke about the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program that I'm partnering with.
Hmm.
But also we have a Hope Inside program through my office. Again, go to ChicagoCityTreasurer.com. You can see how you can sign up. Hope Inside program, we're offering credit counseling. We're offering money management courses to Chicagoans for free. For
Mm.
free. This is what a lot of people pay for. And
That's true.
sometimes they pay for these things and walk away with nothing.
Mm.
We're offering it for free. We want to improve the credit score for Chicagoans because if I can help you improve your credit score, I can help you not only purchase your home, that can also help you with your small business. And so these are very important programs. And then I go a step further. I have webinars similar to this that you're doing. It's called Money Mondays with Melissa.
Hmm.
I have webinars that I'm starting. Matter of fact, we're starting this month. It's called Wealth Wednesdays. Just want to encourage and provide hope to residents and help them to understand that this is about them and we want to help them with home ownership because it's about building wealth today for tomorrow.
Now, that's awesome, by the way. That's another thing, another tool of why you should get to know your treasurer. Once we get done with this episode, I'm going to call my treasurer and say, hey, man, what are you doing, man? I'm in Chicago, they got all these programs. They teach you how to become homeowners. They got stuff for entrepreneurs. What are we doing out here? So, but yeah, kudos to you in Chicago.
Thank you.
Now, when you say you help people become homeowners, you say you're fixing their credit. What are some of the tools that you use to kind of like help them with their credit, or some of the tools or things you're doing to help them become homeowners?
Yes. So one of the things that I want to mention to you
Mhm.
is for me, it's twofold, right? And that's why I absolutely love my job because I invest. I invest through the values of taxpayers. And I also look at that other side that I mentioned to you. How can I be helpful to you directly? And
Mhm.
that's what improving your credit score. That's what the small business loans I mentioned. That's what the 10,000 small businesses partnership that we have with Goldman Sachs to help you as an entrepreneur. That's with our Hope Inside program. Now, in addition to that, I'm going to speak back again about the investments part, right? When I say that I invest with the values of residents, I am so proud of a partnership that started this year. And this was really through a conversation that I had with Annie Seedless, who is a CEO of a woman owned investment firm.
Mhm.
And we spoke a lot about home ownership in Chicago and how I talk about building generational wealth. And I really want to help spur home ownership in Chicago. And so from that conversation, and this is why I always talk about the importance of representation. When you have representation, people that share your values, they fight for you and they are creative in trying to figure out how to help you. And so Annie Seelis and I, through her organization and through the Treasurer's Office, we have partnered to invest $25 million specifically in cash holdings in Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, which is to help mortgages for single family homeowners in Chicago. And we're specific to low to moderate income home buyers. If I can help drum up the demand for mortgages, again, through the investments in our office, what we're doing is that, Prince, we're taking Chicago's taxpayers' money and we're investing in Chicagoans. That's what
Wow.
we're doing.
Nice. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And, so I ran across a program once where they, how most people, before they become homeowners, they're renters. And where, usually on your credit report, rent is not um, calculated on your credit report to the best of my knowledge.
That's right.
So I did run across a company where they had found some type of way to get credit for renting, to help build your credit for paying your rent on time, to help you become not a shareholder, but a homeowner, building your
Yes.
credit to become having that rental payment, stuff like that
Yes.
is usually not there. So I didn't know if that would be something you'll be interested in, because I probably could have them reach out to you guys and to say, hey, they have this program that could help people become homeowners too.
And that's one of the things that I talk about all
Mhm.
the time when I say that I know residents that pay $1,800, $2,000 a month in rent in
Mhm.
Chicago. And what they're doing is that they're investing in others, not themselves. And I say, if they can invest and pay rent of $1,800, $2,000 a month, you mean to tell me these people can't pay a mortgage? But those are the challenges because they are not getting credit for
Mm.
the rent that they have been just paying religiously. They're
Yeah.
not getting credit for that. Same as we see with telephone service. I talk about that. You have these telephones. Everyone I know has a cell phone,
Mhm.
and they're not necessarily getting credit for that. We get credit for bills that we pay, but not necessarily those bills that we are faithful in paying. Because at the end of the day, my mother would always taught me, right? We all got some sense. And even if you don't make the most money, you got enough sense to know to keep a roof over your head. And so a lot of times we just need opportunities. And so I think that's a very interesting program that you just mentioned. And it's absolutely what I talk about each and every day, giving credit to residents for what they are doing. That's non-traditional.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely, make the introduction, and, can go from there to see if it's a good fit. So, okay. So you began Money Mondays and Wealth Wednesdays in 2020. What is this all about? And why is this something you want to continue to go on?
Yes. So when the pandemic hit, we were all in our homes. I mentioned to you that we got to work just making certain we provided these small business loans for entrepreneurs, small business owners to keep their doors open. And again, when we say doors open, that's a figure of speech because some business owners have online stores, of course. But that was important to us to keep the businesses open, to keep jobs retained. But also, in addition to that, we focused a lot about physical health, which was extremely important to be alive, to make it throughout this pandemic. But what I thought about from the treasurer's perspective is how do we come out of this pandemic financially? Because what I did not want is for people to suffer, residents to suffer, to lose homes, to lose jobs, to lose in so many ways, and credit scores decreasing. I knew that that was going to be a real challenge. And so I went into gear and I started a webinar where residents can be at home and virtually able to tune in to Money Mondays with Melissa. And we had a number of guests, from CEOs to government officials to nonprofit leaders. And we really focused a lot on how to help residents through this crisis financially. And so we had all these resources, and we did this very often. I think we may have started weekly actually and now have moved to monthly. So even 3 years later, although it was birthed through the pandemic, I could see that there was still a need. As we know, there's some people that are still struggling from the pandemic, still trying to recover from debt and things of that sort. We even talk about retirement, how to help people prepare for retirement. I know, Prince, you are going to be retiring soon from the Navy. Kudos to you and thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you.
We want to make certain that we are positioning people like you, although you're extremely young and you're going on, obviously, to big and better things, I'm sure. But there are some people that when they retire from their employment, that is the end of their necessarily working per se, the full-time gainful employment. And so we want to help them that they are preparing for that they are managing their dollars. And that's really what Monday Mondays with Melissa really was all about. And now we are launching this year the Wealth Wednesdays, which is a new webinar that we're providing. And it's really listening. So many times we see stars on TV and we wonder, how did they get there? We sometimes read about it, but to hear these stories, we're going to have business owners, people that can be like us, right? People that may come from humble beginnings and have really made it today. We're going to hear their success stories and their path to wealth creation.
Okay, well, I got to ask you again, Melissa, how do people find out about it? How do people can tune in? How can they tune in?
Yes. Again, our website, ChicagoCityTreasurer.com, as well as our social media handles, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I think we're on TikTok as well, actually. Chicago Treasurer Melissa Conyears-Ervin. Please make certain to follow us. We have so much information. And by the way, on our website, Prince, residents can sign up to receive our emails. We send out emails very often of all the programs that we have. So make certain through our website, ChicagoCityTreasurer.com, you can sign up to receive our emails.
Okay. So I got to ask you this question, you becoming the first, elected treasurer of the city of Chicago. I'm glad you clarified that because I saw that earlier and I was thinking don't all treasurers have to run? But you clarified that with saying not all treasurers have to run. Most time they get appointed by the mayor. So you ran and won. What have you learned during your first term as the city treasurer? And how are you using those things to enhance or in how you improve or how you run on your second term?
Yeah, so I want to thank Chicago residents because I was just reelected into my second term. And certainly throughout my first term, I learned so much. Oh my gosh, Prince, from the work that I do here in the Treasurer's Office with investments, the programs that we have to financially empower the residents, as well as what we are doing with pension funds. And I believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion and investing with people that really share the values of the Chicagoan residents. But also, in addition to that, looking at going further, how we're going to help children, our youth. We have to expose them to the financial service industry. And then I think about also other not-for-profit organizations, maybe not necessarily small business owners, but not-for-profit organizations, faith-based organizations that also need help. How are we going to help them? So we have so many programs that we have done, but even more yet to come. Building wealth today for tomorrow is our annual. I call that the capstone to our year. How we have all these programs throughout the year, and we really provide a capstone in the fall. Building wealth today for tomorrow. We make it a weekend where we have, that's in person. And we were able to go in person last year, excited to come this year again, where we have residents, they come and find out about careers in the financial services industry. They come to find out ways to start their business, ways to sustain their business. They come to find out about ways to access capital. They come to find out about success stories of business owners. You name it. We have this huge weekend that we do here in Chicago. So even if you do not live in Chicago, I encourage you to get here in September. And by the way, all of our information is information right now as far as the itinerary of that weekend. But please visit our website, chicagoCityTreasurer.com, our social media handles, and make sure you are following us so you get the full itinerary for what we are going to be doing here in Chicago in September.
Yeah, because you guys had this last year, right?
We did.
Yeah,
We
I
did.
watched it from the sideline. I was like, wow, man, they're doing big things out there in Chicago. So I didn't get no invitation or
Yes.
invite.
Oh, you gotta come in September. You gotta come in September. It is huge.
Yeah, that was a big thing. I saw y'all had, get better stars there and everything around
Absolutely. We had Shark Tank, Damon John.
Mm-hmm.
We had hip hop mogul MC Light.
Mm-hmm.
We had one of the first Apprentice winners, Bill Rancic. We had Allison from HGTV. Oh, well, we were in the place.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, wow, Chicago's doing it. So you know who you're going to have on the tab this year? Figured that out yet?
Oh, we're working on it as we speak. I cannot wait to announce it. I wish I could announce it now because it's not settled yet, but we are working on it, Prince, and very shortly we will be announcing.
Okay. Well, definitely, definitely going to try to make that this year. Because I don't know if you remember when I met you, I gave you the books that I wrote for kids. Yes.
I know. I already know. I remember you, Prince. I do.
I was making sure. I didn't know if you probably was like, I don't know who this guy is.
Oh, no, I definitely know. You know what? You're impressionable. It's going to be very difficult to not remember who you are, Prince. So I just encourage you to keep up the good work.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So next question I got for you. It's in the Supreme Court right now. The last time I heard about this, the student loan forgiveness, President Biden came out and said, hey, I'm going to forgive everybody.
Yes.
$1,000, everybody apply. And then when everybody went to apply, it was like, not so fast. What is your thoughts? What are you thinking on this student loan forgiveness?
Oh my gosh. I am a witness to student loans and how it can seem like you're paying on your student loans forever. And really, that should not be a barrier. Too many students and working families are being held back by their student loans, and that's a fact. And the impact is really being felt across the local economy in ways that impact almost everybody. And I think that it's important. I think that it's important to everyone that we really help people get relief. And so I'm happy that President Biden is making this a focus. This is important. This is something that really should have been addressed before, but what better time than now to help students forgive that debt?
Okay. Now, you look at some of the naysayers that are saying, hey, it's taxpayer dollars and we should reallocate. What do you have to say to them about that, the opposing side of it?
I say the impact affects everyone. The impact affects everyone. Education is something that should be equitable. I mean, at some point in life, we have to look at what's right. Education should be fair, should be equitable. And it should not matter what zip code you come from as to whether you can attend college, whether you can graduate and be successful and make it and not have to worry about the debt of student loans that you have acquired throughout your college career. And so I would just encourage everyone to understand that this affects all of us.
Okay. Now tell us about this Advanced Equity in Banking Commission. I don't even know what this is. What is this Advanced Equity in Banking Commission? Tell us about this. Explain this to us.
Yes. And so, Prince, I've never shied away from having difficult conversations. I have to laugh about it because I just believe that we have to address difficult conversations. And racism in the banking industry can be an uncomfortable conversation to have. And really, I don't know why. Because the racism in the banking industry precedes all of us. I'm talking about over 400 years ago, okay? Racism in the banking industry. And so because this is such an old that predates many of us, unfortunately, practice, it's going to take time, I understand, to overcome it. But it's up to us to overcome it. I look at Chicagoans and I look at the challenges that we have here with redlining, that has really kept people of color from owning homes. We talk about that, right? And from living in certain neighborhoods. And so I partnered with our state treasurer and we developed this commission, Advancing Equity in Banking Commission, where we convened major banking CEOs and we spoke about really the racial reckoning in 2020, but also recognizing that systemic racism exists in the banking industry and is really holding the people of color back. And we were specific to talk about residents in Chicago and across the state of Illinois. And so I was happy to see that the CEO stood up to say, this is not acceptable. We're not going to continue to accept this. And so it was a 2-year journey for us. And in 2022, we released, by the way, and that's on our website, chicagoCityTreasurer.com, we released a report and we spoke about this 2-year journey and we spoke about the lending disparities across America, but specifically here in Chicago. And we spoke about what these banking institutions are doing to help to change that and how this journey over 2 years have really helped to change that. And I can give you a few examples. BMO increased their outreach and recruitment efforts really among Black and Latino talent, which is important to help hire people for these senior roles. We want to make certain that we have senior roles with diverse candidates. But also in addition to that, they pledged to expand that number by 80% by 2025. And guess what? That's just a couple of years from now. And then JP Morgan Chase, they committed to finance the development of 40,000 units of affordable housing here in Chicago and invest over $600 million for mortgages for over 3,000 families of color over the next several years. And I definitely want to also mention just one other for the sake of time. PNC, they committed $1 billion to diversity and equity. That includes expanding lending from small businesses and homeowners in under-resourced and disinvested Black and Brown communities. So that's a start, right? I always tell our CEOs we have a lot more to go, but that's certainly a start in AEBC. I'm so proud to have started that with our state treasurer and just really proud to see what the start has been.
Well, I got to say this. You said I'm very impressionable. I remember the first time Anthony Williams, he was interviewing you at Partners Group on DI, right?
Yes.
And he, I saw, this will open up my brain to this when you were speaking about all these private equity firms, private debt, hedge funds, things like that, that will come to you and make their pitches, and how you was looking at their board to see how their board was diversified. Because you were saying, hey, I'm taking money from people from minority background and I'm giving it to you to invest.
That's right.
You're not even hiring and putting people on the board.
That's right.
That's what opened up my brain to say, wow, I didn't even know that this is how you raise this much capital. I didn't know where the capital was coming from. I knew it was coming from somewhere, but that opened up my brain to say, wow, this is where capital is coming from.
That's right.
Because we all have the brain to start a firm, but you already know if you don't have any gas for the car,
that's right.
The car ain't going nowhere.
Come on.
You can build a beautiful car. You went to school, started your LLC, got all your licenses, you're ready to go, and you can't even afford to hire the staff, right? So when you spoke about that, I thought that was very key because we live in a capitalistic society, but people are afraid to talk about capital.
That's
They'll talk about everything else, but when it came down to capital,
that's right.
Sitting back and watching that, and shouts out to Anthony, I spoke to him the other day, and him asking that question and pulling that out of you, that opened up my level of knowledge of saying, oh, wow, this is where this happens, or how it comes about, and how you was deliberately taking a look to see, hey, do I see people in these positions, before we allocate our resources to you? Are you even hiring or putting people in position? So that was very key, and I want to let the people know that, and I said, oh, I got to meet her when she's done. So,
again, representation matters, Prince. This is why I say when you elect people that share your values, this is why representation matters, because I invest for social impact. And I'm a decision maker, right? I can choose who we want to invest with. And so how dare I invest with an organization that does not respect the makeup of the taxpayers. This is
Mm,
their money. And so we have to invest with their values.
got it. That's very true. Well, I want to thank you for coming on. I know people always ask this question every time they see somebody on my show. Prince, how do I get in contact? I got an idea. I want to reach out to her. How can people reach out to you, follow you, see all the other good things you're saying? I know you said a couple times on the show, but can you let
Yes.
people know how can they reach out to you?
Absolutely. They can reach out to us through our website, chicagocitytreasurer.com. They can also call us. And obviously, now with the internet, you can get access. But here's a phone number, I'll still provide it. It's 312-744-3356. Please follow us on all of our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Chicago Treasurer Melissa Conyears-Ervin. But our website is chicagocitytreasurer.com.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. You have it. Is there anything you want to leave the audience before we get out of here?
No, the only thing that I want to say and stress is that financial empowerment affects all of us. So please, please do not think that it does not pertain to you. I am a young lady that comes from humble beginnings, and I can tell you that it includes you.
Okay. Hopefully I can get out there and see you in September. But I got to ask you this question. If we need you back on the show, would you come back?
Absolutely, Prince.
Okay.
Do
Thank
your
you.
thing. Keep doing what you're doing. Let's keep educating. Education is key. It is powerful.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming on.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. That is the City of Chicago Treasurer, Miss Melissa Conyears-Ervin. And until the next video, podcast, cartoon, or whatever else crazy you see me doing around the globe, peace, be safe. I'm out, and thank you.